Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here, and welcome to another episode of Episode Rundown, where I, Shady Doorags, run down the episodes of Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. Now, before we get started, I want to address a couple of things. First of all, if you saw I uploaded a video reaction to the first episode of Season 2 of Miraculous. I do apologize for people out there. For certain countries, it has been blocked. That's because it's been falsely copyright claimed. We all know it's under fair use. It's heavily edited, so there's absolutely no way it infringes copyright because it is fair use. But for some countries, they're unable to access that. I do apologize for that. I've already filed a dispute and everything, so hopefully that gets wrapped up as quickly as possible. Secondly, I want to address that certain people have told me that Netflix, the order in which Netflix shows the episodes is very different from what is actually supposed to be. I'm still gonna stick with the Netflix order. I know some of you that hurts you to hear that, but I have my reasons, and I'm just gonna stick with that. I will say though that season 1, I probably would have been a bit more forgiving if it had kept Origins at the end. People told me that Origins was supposed to be the last episode, and if the season had left off on that instead of Volpina, where it was a cliffhanger, I probably would have been a bit more forgiving. But I don't think my feelings of the season would have changed too much, because by episode 3, there were a lot of things that I had in mind about the show that stuck with me throughout the course of the show. So anyway, just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get into episode 2, or what Netflix calls episode 2, of season 2, and that is Prime Queen. So the episode starts with Marinette watching this news show by, I can't remember her name. I want to say her name is Shamak, the news anchor who we see all the time. And Marinette is playing, or on the show it says that she's going to have Ladybug and Cat Noir as her special guests. And she's watching this with Tiki, and Tiki finally says out loud why Marinette needs to keep her identity a secret. She specifically says to protect herself from Hawkmoth. Now, while I am happy they finally said that, I'm also still upset because they didn't really show that. I said this in my season 1 review, that the show itself, it doesn't really demonstrate that Marinette would be in danger if people found out her secret identity. To give an example, Spider-Man, when people knew people who knew Spider-Man, they were in danger. Peter Parker was constantly being put in danger because he was the photographer of Spider-Man. Like, he didn't even officially know Spider-Man. He was just his photographer, and people came after him. And when the Green Goblin found out who Spider-Man was, it all just went into chaos, and freaking Gwen Stacy died. So they haven't shown any of that in Miraculous. So that they're telling and not showing, and that's not a good thing. So if they want to use the excuse, hey, your loved ones will be in danger, fine. But they need to demonstrate that. What they're only demonstrating so far is that Marinette and Adrian's life is a hindrance because nobody knows. Well, specifically Marinette. I don't think Adrian's life is a hindrance, but Marinette's life is a hindrance because people don't know. Speaking of which, Marinette finds out that she accidentally scheduled the interview the same night as her babysitting. And I actually thought it was pretty funny. I like this part a lot for some reason. I don't know. I feel like I weirdly overliked this part. Marinette and Tiki are watching the program, and Tiki says, well, I hope you do well tonight. And Marinette says, what do you mean tonight? I have babysitting tonight. The interview is tomorrow. And she looks at the TV and it says tonight. And Tiki says, that's probably why it's tonight. And it didn't hit me until the news anchor walked into the room. And it's like, no matter what night it was on, Marinette was going to have babysitting on the same night as the interview. For some reason, I just thought that was like supremely clever. I don't know why. It's like, I feel like that should have been obvious, but I really enjoyed that little tidbit there. So Marinette's got a problem that she's accidentally scheduled 2 events at once. We've seen this happen to Marinette before, or something similar to it anyway. We go to Nadia. That's her name. Why did I just instantly know her name? Nadia Shamak, I think is what it is. We go to Nadia, and it turns out she's got this primetime spot, but for some reason, the producer just, hates her. Like, I don't know what Nadia did to get on the producer's skin, but this character was just it was an unnecessary hate. Like, they wanted us to really hate this producer. I've seen producers be hateful before on other shows. Like, I've seen it in Bolt and on BoJack Horseman. And the thing of it is, there needs to be a cause. Like, Nadia needs to have screwed up or something, and the producer's saying, this is your last chance, or I don't think you've earned this spot, or something like that. The producer was just mean. It's like, Nadia, for one, is a main anchor, or a newscaster or whatever. I think she's an anchor and a field person. One, there's that. She's on the TV all the time. And two, if she earned the prime spot, why are you so upset that she's there? They really didn't give that producer a good reason to be upset. But Nadia's now got pressure to get people watching her show. So back at Marinette's place, Marinette has to watch Manon, and she calls Alia over. And then she lies to Alia, saying she has to go do something. Marinette lies a lot in this episode, and it's really going to bite her in the butt. In a literature sense, not in a literal sense, not in an immoral sense. But she lies to Alia and says, I got to go talk to my parents, and it might take a while. Why not just tell Alia the truth? I don't understand that. Because Alia she's already said in past episodes, she's willing to babysit Manon. She's fine with babysitting. She likes kids. She's good with kids. If Marinette had just said, Alia, I accidentally double booked this other thing. Can you watch Manon for me? Alia would have said yes. I guess it was to hide her secret identity. I guess that's the only thing I can think of, but she didn't have to, like, say my parents. She could have just said, I got this other thing. Like, she didn't have to be specific and say she was Ladybug or anything like that. I don't know. Then Marinette starts feeling kind of guilty for lying about her. Again, this is really going to come back to bite her in a literary sense. But she goes to the interview. Cat Noir is already there, being Cat Noir, smug self. The interview starts. Chloe makes an appearance, and a lot of people don't like Chloe, so the ratings go down. Alia comes up there, and at first, the new Alia and Manon come on the screen, and the news anchor is like, Manon, what are you doing? Where's Marinette? And at first, I thought that was that's a very unprofessional thing to do, but then I realized that the last time she saw Manon, she was with Marinette. So the fact that she was with Alia, yeah, that is kind of concerning. But Alia does this thing that really just it upset me. She's like, hey, Ladybug, can you give me an interview since I'm way more popular than Nadia? And I was like, I really hope her name is Nadia because I keep calling her that. And I was like, Alia, that's messed up. That is messed up. You don't go to someone else's thing and say, I'm more popular than you. Do you want to come to an interview on my channel? Oh, man. That upset me. That upset me because I've seen that so much on YouTube and on other web media things where people go to other people's channels and advertise themselves. And you don't just do that. If the person allows you to do that, fine. That's fine. Do it. I don't care. But you don't just go to somebody else's media and advertise yourself without their permission. That's messed up in my opinion. But yeah, Nadia starts losing ratings, and so she gets the juicy stuff, and she says, are you two dating? And she shows all these pictures, which apparently they have mini micro cameras everywhere in Paris, because they got some really good pictures of Cat Noir and Ladybug from past episodes. They even got the kiss from Dark Cupid. And Marinette was saying that all those were taken out of context, and she's getting really upset because Nadia keeps trying to push her. Marinette says, no, we are not dating. Cat Noir is joking about it, just being his Cat Noir self. Nadia keeps pushing, saying, hey, just admit it. Ladybug does this thing that lost so many points in my book. She storms off the stage, tells everybody there that it's because they have an emergency situation. That is extremely unprofessional in an interview. I understand that Nadia was pushing her to admit something that she didn't do. But I've seen various interviews where people are being pushed to try and forced to admit something, and they handle it so much more professionally. If you've ever seen the interview with Jordan Peterson on, what was it? Was it BBC, Channel 4, or something like that? Where they were pushing him to say yes to a bunch of things, and he handled it like a pro, because he kept coming back out there. Ladybug lies to everyone. Again, she lies a lot in this episode. She lies to everyone watching, saying they have to go deal with an emergency, and storms off the stage like an unprofessional. I'm not going to say Nadia was in the right for pushing her, but Ladybug storming off was not the right thing to do. She should have just kept saying no. That would have been the more professional thing to do. No, it's not true. No. So they storm off. Nadia loses all her ratings, and that's when Hawkmoth targets her. And the window really is bigger. Like, it's much closer to Hawkmoth, and it's much bigger. But he turns her into Prime Queen. He turns her into Prime Queen. And between this and what I saw in Incredibles 2, I'm starting to be really scared of screens. And what Prime Queen could do, first of all, there's her image. Her face is like holographic, and at first I didn't like it. It was very uncanny. But then she has, like, I got used to it. I don't know why. It reminds me of like a League of Legends skin. One of those project skins League of Legends has. But I got used to it, and I actually do like the design now. And her powers is she can travel through screens, any screen. It's kind of like Lady Wi-Fi, but Lady Wi-Fi could only travel through phones, and she could only do it with, or Lady Wi-Fi couldn't only travel through phones. When I say only, I mean she could travel through screens, but only through the screens of phones. She also had a bunch of other powers, and she had to use those powers when there was Wi-Fi. So I was wondering, like, who would win in a fight between them two. Honestly, I think Prime Queen, because she can travel through any screen. But anyway, that's way off top. That's my nerd brain going. Prime Queen comes up, and this is what saved this episode for me, because there is so much I don't like about this episode that you would think that the meter would be much lower than it is. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick it, like, right on the like, because this villain had awesome powers. I like her design. Again, I originally didn't, but it grew on me. And she was very competent. Like the villains of early season 1, I used to praise them for how competent they were. This one was also very competent. So she comes up, and she's like, she kidnaps Chloe, because during the interview, Chloe said that she was friends with Ladybug and Cat Noir, which is good continuity within the episode. That's very good continuity. And she puts her on a train, and she lures Ladybug and Cat Noir and says, you have to come and confess your love if you want to stop this train. Now, some weird things happen during this setting. The doors are locked, and Cat Noir tries to open them, and he says, I should use Cataclysm. And Ladybug says, no, save it for an emergency. I'm sorry, what? How many times has he spontaneously used Cataclysm for something? How many times have you told him to spontaneously use Cataclysm for something? And now, randomly in this episode, you're like, save it for an emergency. Like, are you kidding me? And he doesn't even really save it for an emergency. He does use it later, but he doesn't really save it for an emergency. So the screen... Prime Queen comes, and she's making the train go, and the train's gonna crash once it gets a certain speed. Ladybug makes this grand announcement because the Prime Queen wants her to admit that she and Cat Noir are a thing. She makes this grand statement about how heroes don't lie. She's not going to lie. Okay. So in my reaction video, I said maybe I was a bit harsh on Marinette because I thought she didn't like liars. But then I realized the only times she said that was when she was talking about other girls she didn't like. And she might have just been using that as an excuse. She said she didn't like liars when she was talking about Chloe. And she said she didn't like liars when she was talking about Lila. So I thought maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe Marinette actually isn't a hypocrite. No! In this episode, she straight up says, heroes don't lie. And it's so hypocritical because she's been lying so much in this episode and in past episodes. Marinette has lied so many times in past episodes. And then, literally, less than a minute later, I'm sorry, I'm getting real loud. Literally, less than a minute later, she lies! She lies! I cannot believe it! She's like, heroes don't lie. Then she turns to Cat Noir and says, we should play along. And then straight up lies! It was so contradictory. I genuinely feel like that was a mistranslation because it was so contradictory that she just straight up, she just said that heroes don't lie, straight up turned around and then said, we should play along. And the worst part of it is, I think, that they could have handled that so much better. They had a great opportunity for a good character moment there. Ladybug straight up looks at, Prime Queen. I keep wanting to call her Screenslaver. Prime Queen, she straight up looks at her and says, heroes don't lie. And they do this kind of shot where Cat Noir is slightly off screen, where his mouth is like covering like this corner of the screen. It looks like he's about to say something revealing. And that's what I thought they were going to do. Because Marinette says, heroes don't lie. I thought Cat Noir was going to step forward and say, it's true, I'm in love with Ladybug. And that would have worked so much better because right then, Ladybug said heroes don't lie. If Cat Noir stepped forward and said he was in love, it's symbolically saying Marinette's right, or Ladybug is right, heroes don't lie. I'm really in love with you, Ladybug. But at the same time, Ladybug doesn't know Cat Noir's being genuine, so she might be thinking that he is actually lying, that he's going along with her even though she won't. And that would have worked so much better because Prime Queen could have stopped, that could have got the ratings. Prime Queen would have stopped and the story could have continued as normal. But no, instead they have Ladybug straight up tell everyone that heroes don't lie and then straight up lie to Prime Queen and assuming everyone else. Because we don't really know if the audience knew she was just playing along. And it upset me so much because not only did they create a horrible moment, but they gave up what could have been a fantastic character moment to do it. Okay, so it's not her name, Prime Queen. Prime Queen goes after Alia next. There's also this other thing that happens that upset me. The Prime Queen says, before Marinette does all this lying, Prime Queen says, you need to announce your love to each other. Or you need to prove your love or something like that. And she tells them to do something. I don't remember what it was. And Cat Noir says, we'll prove our love with a kiss. And he tries to kiss Ladybug, and she's like, that's not happening. You know, they do it as a joke. But to me, it was such an out-of-character moment. Chloe is in danger. And no, this isn't because it's Chloe, because it happens again later when they try to save Alia. She's in danger. And you're not willing to kiss Cat Noir. You've kissed him before. You have kissed Cat Noir before. There's no reason why Ladybug shouldn't have kissed Cat Noir right then and there. She was already willing to play along, already willing to lie and say, hey, they were a couple. There was no reason she shouldn't have been willing to kiss him other than, haha, it's a joke. She doesn't like Cat Noir. That felt really out of character, man. So Prime Queen goes after Alia next, and they just leave Chloe in the train. I thought that was actually kind of funny. They just leave Chloe there. And she tells them to follow her through the screen again like they did before. But this time it's a trap. She sends them to like some kind of freezer very far away that has a TV in it for some reason. And that's really weird to me that there's a TV in a freezer. I don't know. Is that a thing? I've worked at food service place before. I've never seen a TV in a freezer. And meanwhile, she's at the museum and she's wrapped Alia in this sarcophagus. And once again, this is good continuity because Alia before was asking for an exclusive interview. I almost forgot. There was another thing that ticked me off. A lot of things ticked me off in this episode. Alia, when she was watching the program, was like, why can't I get an exclusive interview with Ladybug? Are you serious? Does no one remember the mime? The mime episode where Alia was the first one to get an exclusive interview with Ladybug. Where is the continuity in this show? Oh. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. Prime Queen's got Alia captured, and she's got Ladybug and Cat Noir super far away. Cat Noir says, I should use my cataclysm and get us out of here. Ladybug says, it doesn't matter, we could be halfway across town. We don't know. Okay, so Ladybug suggests they do nothing, I guess. Prime Queen says, take off your Miraculouses and reveal yourselves. And I won't drown Alia. Ladybug does the Lucky Charm, which makes me sigh. She gets tape this time. And she tapes a pizza box onto the screen so Prime Queen can't see them. And like, I wanted to be upset, but at the same time, because tape is such a mundane thing, I didn't really feel like it was lucky. I felt like she actually did solve that. That's more so because tape is such a mundane thing. If you have tape, then you generally do think about how to use it. Usually when I think about the Lucky Charm, the thing I have the most issues with, or the episode I have the most issues with, is the Illustrator, when they got a freaking bouncy ball that made no sense but broke all the lights. Anyway, that's a tangent. She puts a pizza box on the screen, and she says, okay, we're taking them off now. And Cat Noir says, and we're also kissing. I feel kind of iffy because she really fell for such a dumb bluff, but at the same time, I do feel like it's kind of within Prime Queen's character to fall for such a bluff. She can't see for once throughout the entire time she's been here. So she punches through the screen, and that allows Ladybug to pull her in, and they destroy her Akuma. And everything is brought back to normal, and that's when Cat Noir does his cataclysm so they can get out of the freaking freezer. So Marinette goes back to her house. Alia says, hey, you'll never believe it, I was kidnapped. And Marinette has the most calm reaction ever. It's one of the hard reasons it's one of the reasons I have a hard time believing Alia doesn't believe Marinette is Ladybug, because every time she says something, or not every time, but there have been a couple of times where she has said something and Marinette just has this really calm reaction, like, oh wow, I can't believe that happened to you. It's like, if somebody said, hey, I was kidnapped, I'm like, all that happened while I was downstairs? You tripping. It's something like that, I don't know. Anyway, because Miraculous doesn't like sad endings, it decides to give Nadia back her primetime spot. Alia gets up there, they do a collab. The producer is suddenly nice about it, which I find it very hard to believe that a collab would bring in more views like that from a news, because news to internet. Not to say that the news is necessarily more popular than what's on the internet, because, you know, YouTube is super big right now and television is pretty much dying right now. But how many people on the internet would go to the news to watch it? But anyway, yeah. And Alia pretty much says that, hey, she tells everybody Ladybug and Cat Noir aren't a couple for now, you know. Haha. Preteens, huh? They could be a couple later. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else about this episode, but man, there was so much I disliked. They just did so much wrong, especially with the continuity. They just completely forgot so much continuity. Marinette, in the episode, Marinette is just stating that she hates liars and lies so much throughout this episode. Heroes never lie, and then she lies all throughout this episode, and I can think of times in the past she's lied. It's so annoying. But the villain, like, really saved it. Like, really, I should be, like, in the disliker somewhere, like, way down there. But the hero just made me really enjoy watching this, because she was so good. She had me on the edge of my seats with the stuff she was doing. And how she was, like, coming from screens and stuff. Like, that was terrifying. But, yeah, I hope I got everything, because I had a lot to say about this episode. I had a lot of complaints to make. But yeah, that is that episode. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next time for episode 3. And just so you guys know, whatever you're watching right now, usually I've already seen the next episode. I know some people have been putting out some reaction requests. I'm considering them. But like, if you've already seen this, then chances are I've already watched episode 3 and etc. etc. But that's all for now. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode and about my opinions of this episode in the comments below. And I will see you guys next time. This has been Shady Doorags. So long, farewell, Avita say, goodbye.